Adam, how are
Oh,
you?
Lee. Good, man. How about you?
Hold on. I had this issue yesterday. Let's try that again.
I'm good. How about you?
Nope. Hold on. Oh, one more time.
I'm good. How about you?
Now I hear you loud and clear.
Right on, man. Hey, and I've been doing probably a dozen of these interviews. Your website is the most badass website that I've seen so far.
Dude,
Dude,
you're
I
the
think your
second.
branding is on point.
Love it. Thank you. You're the second person to say that to me in the last couple of days. And like we worked hard on that website and I believe in my brand. I think we're gonna do good things eventually.
I like it, man. Ready to just jump right in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Lee, for everybody who doesn't know who you are and what you do and where you do it, give us the lowdown.
The skinny, right? Who you are,
Yep.
what you do, where you do it. All right. My name is Lee Rudin. My law firm is RUDIN Law. And the only question I ask people is, are you tired of getting pushed around by insurance companies? Because if so, you got to stop being polite. Get rude.
Love it.
Yeah, we are based in New Orleans, Louisiana. I live in uptown New Orleans. My office, where I presently am, is in the first suburb outside of New Orleans on the main drag, Veterans Boulevard, next to a bunch of big box stores. Super easy to get to us. Free parking. I wanted the lowest barriers to entry, even though being in New Orleans proper probably would be better for me. Got to be thinking about the clients first, and that's why we are here. Website is getrude.com. Instagram at Get Rude Law. My phone number currently is 504 500 5504. But we just bought 3 Get Rude. So very soon you can call us from all those pay phones and all the reasons you would need a toll free number, you know?
Billboards, man. Get
That's it,
rude. That
baby.
is so good.
That's it. You know what? I saw it and I was like, I probably should get that, whether I really need it or not. I got it. I have the website. We just trademarked the Get Rude and Stop Being Polite. So I got the assets now. Now we just got to flip the levers.
Dude, you are synergized and optimized, man.
We're
You
trying,
you
man.
guys
Trying.
are going fast. So I saw on your website, do you handle cases in Louisiana and Texas?
Yeah, so I am barred in Louisiana and Texas. I serve on the local faculty for the National Institute of Trial Advocacy. I was a defense lawyer for a lot of years, a dozen years. So I've got this network. I'm from New Jersey. I've got this network of people around the country. So, for the most part, yeah, my practice is in Louisiana. I just waved into Texas. So we've got some stuff going on there. But honestly, when I have people come looking for help, I'll find a partner in another state. Like I'll take your case on. We'll find somebody to help you because in the end, like that's really what matters. So if I can be the person that's the conduit to you getting the help, even though I'm not the one that did the down and dirty, you should remember, hey, that guy Lee, he did me a solid. He found me the lawyer that really got me across the finish line. Like, let's do that.
I like that, man. All right. So you said that you're from New Jersey. You used to be in defense. What's your whole story?
Whole story. I wanted to be a lawyer. Really, I wanted to be a sports agent. So Jerry Maguire was one of my favorite movies growing up. The whole thing, like the romantic comedy side of it, the sports side of it, I loved it. And honestly, I think now, like looking back, I love the hustle of it. Part of what I love about being a personal injury lawyer is the marketing and sales side. Obviously, on both sides of the coin, you're selling, right? You're trying to sell the client that you're the right person for the job. At the end, you're trying to sell an insurance company or a jury that your side of the story is right. Stuff in the middle, to use a sports analogy, that's the blocking and tackling. You got to be able to do, but getting the client and bringing them the check, that's a whole bunch of fun. So went to law school at Tulane. I went to undergrad at Tulane. Day before Hurricane Katrina was my first day of college. So we evacuated from here. I went to school up in New York for 6 months, came back down in January of '06, and I've never left. When I came out of college to go to law school here, there was always the question, like, why do you want to be in New Orleans? Then I left law school and was trying to find a job. And they're like, well, why do you want to be in New Orleans? And I said, guys, I don't know what else I can tell you. But if you look, every time I've had a chance to leave, I keep coming back. So I joke it's probably the gumbo in my blood at this point. It'll probably clog my arteries and kill me eventually. But for now, we're doing just fine.
Yeah, man, dude. There's just something special about that city. Every time that I go visit, I always hate to leave. And I can never quite put my finger on like why, if it's the culture, if it's just the beauty of the city, if it's the people, if it's the fun. I think it's just all of it, you know?
Look, it is a very, very imperfect place. But if it fits you, you are probably unfit to live anywhere else.
That's the
And
greatest ad for New Orleans that I've ever heard.
yeah, and the thing is, like what New Orleans does, maybe it's more akin to Europe than it is anywhere in the United States, is New Orleans works to live, not the other way around. You know, I grew up in the Northeast where people are on trains to commute to New York City and they're not seeing their kids in the morning and they're not seeing them at night because they're coming back and they spend more time away from their family and away from the things they love to make money and try to live a better life. Here, you want to hang out with me, what, last Tuesday? Good riddance. Godspeed. Like it's Mardi Gras day. We're in the French Quarter. Like city shuts down. And so between that and the Jazz Fest, where like you got tourists up the wazoo coming in to just have the best 2 weeks of their life, the food, the music, like this place knows how to handle work-life balance.
Yeah. So, man, all right. So, obviously, you just touched on a bunch of diversity in New Orleans. What are some of the cases that you handle? I'm guessing auto accident, truck accident, all that normal stuff too. But you mentioned that a lot of tourists visit. I mean, I've been in New Orleans. There's a lot of uneven sidewalks. There's a lot of
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that. Can you
Look,
tell me more about that?
yeah. I mean, you know, if you've been here more than a minute, you learn you don't want to be suing the city of New Orleans. They don't pay their bills, right? There's just a line 30 years long of judgments that have not gotten paid. No joke. So, we handle, you hit the nail on the head. Car accidents, truck accidents. A lot of that's just because of the volume, right? We've got a lot of cars on the road, lots of people driving around, lots of Ubers and Lyfts because it's a tourist economy. So I've handled cases, interestingly, people come in, bachelorette party, conference, they get in a wreck in an Uber or Lyft. Well, now they're looking for a local lawyer. I've gotten some from folks I know in California saying, hey, I need somebody in Louisiana because my friend, my client got hurt while visiting. So you get a bunch of that. Obviously, you get the same run-of-the-mill stuff you would anywhere. Slip and falls, trip and falls, hotels, restaurants, businesses, that kind of stuff. I'd say that's probably the most of what we do. But I've still got some legacy work from, being a defense lawyer where I'll do some general counsel type stuff. Just, again, kind of in line with I want to help people. If I think I can help them, it doesn't hurt. It keeps the lights on a little bit. And it's just another touch point because my business, even though we're marketing now, wasn't built on marketing. It was built on the organic growth of just knowing people, helping them, tell a friend, tell a neighbor, and all of a sudden you've got a decent book of business.
Yeah, let's touch more on that. So you just mentioned basically reputation management. All right. So you came to New Orleans. You started off there fresh, right out of a Tulane. How did you build your reputation to where it is now? I see online you have like 200 plus 5-star reviews. You have videos from clients telling you how thankful they are that they chose you. How do you manage that? How do you keep it up?
So I think a lot of it's just being genuine. I didn't grow up in a family where, we were working in soup kitchens and, we were, I'll say like making donations as part of our general being. Like that's not who we were. But when I look back, I realize a lot of what we did as a family and now when I can think on it, who we are is we're giving of our time, our knowledge, our information. And then obviously like if we can, put in the sweat equity, help somebody, not saying no to a friend that needs help moving something or doing something. Like it's that kind of, I guess, genuine desire to help somebody that lays the foundation, right? So, you say, how do you get the reviews? How do you get those sorts of testimonials? Well, it comes with actually wanting to help somebody. You make good money in this business. There's no doubt about it if you do it the right way. But a lot of it is just put the client first. Listen to what they have to say. Sometimes they want to make the most money. Sometimes they want to make the most money fastest. Sometimes they just want to get their car fixed. And so, what I teach my team and, what I try to do, especially when I was just doing it on my own, is have a conversation with somebody, actually listen to them, figure out what their needs are, and then explain to them how you're going to navigate it. Because one of the biggest challenges in my industry is that you don't have career plaintiffs. As much as folks want to hoot and holler, folks on the other side, want to hoot and holler about plaintiff attorneys and people doing this as a get rich quick scheme. That's so few and far between, right? There's bad actors in this industry, but a lot of folks, it's the first time they got into a wreck. It's the last thing they wanted. They didn't ask for this. You rear-ended them. They want their car. They want to be able to take their kids to soccer practice and go to work and not have to spend time at a chiropractor or a physical therapist. Like, they didn't ask for this. And so, when you figure out what those pain points are and you do your best to address them, it goes a long way. And people don't forget.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, in marketing and everything else, people can tell whether you're being authentic or not. And you come across as very authentic, like you authentically want to help your clients. What's the most rewarding part of your job for you?
It's hard to say specifically, right? There's different events that occur. When someone says, hey, I got a conversation with somebody the other day, and it wasn't even a client, it was a prospective client. And I was trying to explain to them why I thought there was value in hiring us. And when I told clients, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. Go get the best offer you can. Go get it. Bring it to me. If I can't do better after taking my fees out, I'm going to tell you to take the offer. There's going to be another accident or another fall or another injured person that wants my help right after you. I don't need to convince you like it's going to take food off the table of my family. But I just know how this goes. We've been doing this long enough that insurance companies, they're going to give you a smaller offer. I'll call them a low ball, but they're going to give you a smaller offer than they will if I'm on your side or one of my peers, because they know we actually can add some teeth behind everything. And we know what the data says. We know what a case is worth. You think it's worth something. We know because we've seen other folks that we've represented. We have the research. We have the databases. We can tell you this is what a jury's going to give for this kind of accident, or a judge, or whatever. So when I can tell somebody we can help you, and then at the end they look at me and said, hey, I couldn't have done this. You really, you took the load off of me. So it was a stupid rental car issue I helped somebody with. They were pulling their hair out. I said, let me try to help you. I make no money doing this. I don't get a fee out of your rental car payment, but this is part of what comes with it. So if I can help you, let me help you. It's going to hopefully relieve some stress, add some stress for us, but that comes with what we've signed up for.
Can you tell us about a client success story that really sticks out in your?
Yeah. This is one I've repeated to others, but we had a Hurricane Ida hit here in 2021, and I handled about 24 Hurricane Ida cases. Not my bread and butter, but knew some people that had some contacts and said, hey, we've got folks that were harmed by the hurricane. They're getting, a lot of friction with their insurance company. Can you assist? I said, sure. Let me help you out. Let me help them out. Let's see what we can do for them. And one particular woman, I helped her kids, her grown kids, and she was a client as well. And for some reason, I'm not saying they were totally off base, but they had their spidey sense up, and they thought that the public adjuster and the water mitigation company were trying to pull a fast one, and that they had duped this woman too. They had torn her house up and done things that they shouldn't have. Now, do I think there were some things they could have done better in terms of communicating? Absolutely. Do I think that they tore out part of her house where it didn't need to be torn out? No, I don't. But they were really giving this lady a hard time. And it did not look at any point like they were going to pay her. Now, her house is gutted. She's living in there with AC blowing. I'm talking in the summer, that thing is going full bore and it still can't cool the house. Summer in Louisiana is like the seventh circle of hell. But in the end, I had a good dialogue with the lawyer. We let him queue up some depositions. I said, look, you're not going to find what you think you're going to find. You're not going to like what you find, but it's not what you think. And they ended up paying this woman money after a mediation. And I remember her, looking at me that day, ecstatic. But I remember what she said the next morning. And she said, Lee, you don't know how well I slept last night. And for a lot of people, she didn't make a king's ransom, but there was closure. And it wasn't about what is it going to be? How am I going to do? It's more so I now know that my only responsibility is building back or getting back to being what I was before, physically, or in this case with property damage. And there's such value in that is unquantifiable.
Yeah, man, dude, that's a great answer. I mean, just getting that. So I used to live in Houston, so I 100% understand the summers. And just getting getting made whole after I've been wronged and sleeping well, that would be priceless to me if I was in that woman's situation. Man, thank goodness you're able to help her. All right, so driving from Houston to New Orleans, as you know, I-10 can get pretty hairy.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say that I just got rear-ended right outside of New Orleans by a truck. What are some of the major mistakes that you see people make in that situation?
So, look, insurance companies, they don't sponsor stadiums and have these big buildings because they don't know what they're doing and they don't make oodles of profit, right? Like I remember going into the casino. Now it's called Caesars down here. And I remember, talking to my dad about gambling, and he's like, Lee, why do you think the buildings are so big? It's not because they're giving out this money to everybody, right? They're keeping a large swath of it all the time. So folks, insurance adjusters, some of them are well-meaning. I'm not saying they're bad people, but they have jobs to do. And their job is to keep the insurance company's money. They're not charities. They're not trying to give it out if they don't have to. And they're definitely not trying to give it out before they have to. Because, in the end, they're really investment companies. And the longer the money stays in their bank and their investment accounts, the more residuals they're accumulating. So when they do have to pay out, paying you out 6 months from now as opposed to today, well, that's better for them. So understanding the lay of that land, when you're talking to the insurance company to report the incident, tell them what they need to know. No need to be gratuitous until you talk to somebody that can help you understand what it is they're trying to drive at. Everybody and their mother loves to be a hero after an accident. Now, nobody wants to get into an ambulance, but how do you know if you're hurt? A lot of the stuff, you get rear-ended, a lot of that stuff, you got your adrenaline rushing through your body. You don't quite know how your back, your neck, your shoulder, your knees, you don't know how it's going to feel. And, you're like me. We're not spring chickens anymore. We can tweak our back sneezing. You think that if a car comes at you 15, 20, 30 miles an hour and you're not prepared, that's what happens. That's where your issues arise. And so I think that folks need to just remember who they're talking to, because they might have to report the incident before they ever talk to a lawyer, but give them the black and white. You don't need to add all the flowers on top, and you don't have to answer all these questions. You can answer the stuff they need to know and say, look, I'm not comfortable with that. Let me consult with my lawyer or a lawyer before we get back to you on the nitty gritty, or let me see how I feel tomorrow or the next day, because I don't know that I'm not hurt at all. I just know that right now I'm not feeling anything specific.
Yeah. Okay. So you just brought up some really good points there too. All right. So even though I may not feel injured immediately, that injury could show up days later, and it could just get worse over time also. And at the same time, we're living in the digital age where everybody has Ring cameras. There's cameras everywhere, but because of so much data being pushed, they typically get erased within 7 days, 10 days, 24 hours, something like. How important would you say time is of the essence if I've just been injured?
Look, you can't rewrite history. So the best thing you can do, and I've said this in different contexts, but let's say you're at the scene of an accident. They're going to want you, if you're getting an accident on I-10, cops are going to come, they're going to want you off of that road as soon as possible, and rightfully so. But go out, step out of your vehicle, take some photographs, run a quick video around your vehicle, around the other vehicle, try to document the scene. No one's perfect. And I'm not asking you to go be Inspector Gadget, but go ahead and at least do the best you can to capture the scene of the accident. I tell clients all the time, your memory is going to be your worst enemy. So in terms of like your activities of daily living, how it affects you on the small stuff, go open up an email in your Gmail or whatever other provider and just put the date and put a running list of things that are bothering you. It was really hard to get out of bed this morning, or I couldn't sleep last night, or I couldn't tie my shoes today, because it's that kind of stuff that later, when it comes time to prep for a deposition or to go to your doctor that week, and they're asking you, oh, how'd you do this week? Instead of talking in ambiguities and these vague descriptions, you can say, well, on Tuesday, I couldn't sleep all night. And on Thursday, I couldn't bend over and tie my shoes. And maybe that tells the doctor, hey, there might be something going on in your low back. Because if you can't tie your shoes, maybe you're getting some shooting pain down your leg coming from the lower part of your lumbar spine. So all of what you're saying, data, the data is only as good as its accuracy, of course, and you can't analyze it if you're not collecting it in the first instance. So I suggest people do the best they can to wrangle it, understanding that you're not an investigator. So you're just doing what you can as a layperson, and that's okay. It's better than nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Man, all right. Unfortunately, nobody sees you when they're having a really good day, right?
When their hair's on fire,
Yeah.
right? They come to me when their hair's on fire.
So, I mean, how do you manage that right off the bat? Like,
You see
how
this
do
over here? See that? That's great. It wasn't always like that.
yeah,
It's probably I see you got it too.
yeah.
Between the kids and the wife and the clients, it does it. No, I tell clients, when I ask them, hey, how you doing? They're like, I'm all right. I'm like, yeah, you're all right. Because nobody calls me on their best day. I'm not a trust and estate lawyer where you're trying to plan how to protect your fortune from, Uncle Sam. You come to me because something bad has happened to you, or maybe because you did something bad, when I was on the other side. And so what we try to do is, again, provide the information they need so that they can find some comfort, that they're a little less confused. Right? So a lot of what people want is a roadmap. They don't say it that way, but what they want to know is, okay, well, what's going to happen tomorrow? And then in a week and in a month? And what's this process like? And how are you going to help me? And so I use the phrase unburden people, but that's what we want to do. And part of it's with information. Part of it is literally taking the headaches that they're going to have to deal with and taking them on us. And so, I can't, when I talk to people about property damage, right? So we do a lot of auto accidents. It comes with folks having their vehicles messed up. And I tell people, first of all, I don't take money out of your property damage. Unless you want me to only help you with property damage, that's the only time I want to take money out of it, because I don't have any other way to pay my team for doing the work. As long as you're okay with that, I'm okay with it. But other than that, it doesn't make me feel good to know that I might take a percentage out of the money you need to actually fix your car. We have some other techniques like making diminished value claims to add money to the pool so we can help folks. But I can help navigate the claim with the insurance company. What I can't do is tell the insurance company where your vehicle is at the moment they want to come inspect it. So I can get it all set up, but you still have to answer the phone and let the appraiser come out and look at the vehicle. So I can't take 100% of that responsibility on, but I can take 90. And that should help you in something that is really very annoying. Fighting with them over rental cars, especially, we totaled your vehicle, so here's 3 days worth or 7 days worth of a rental car. It's like, have you seen what the economy is like and what car prices are? You don't know what my loan is. Like, how am I going to find a vehicle in one weekend? 2 days. So some of that is you're really fighting with people, and their hands may be tied. Insurance adjusters, this is what our policy is. I can't do anything. And you try to just plead with them and say, come on, that these folks can't do this. What's going to happen is I'm going to have to front it and then sue you for it later. I don't want to do that. You get a better deal at Enterprise than I'm going to. Let's use your $30 a day rate instead of my $60. And hopefully we can get this pain point resolved without what would be an unnecessary headache for everyone.
All right. It is no doubt that you're an absolute expert at this. I mean, everything that you've dropped on us is knowledge bomb after a knowledge bomb. I'm going to flip the script on you now. Okay. So let's say that you just got injured. You're not a personal injury lawyer. What are some of the questions that you should ask when you're trying to hire a personal injury lawyer?
Good. Those are good questions. So look, first and foremost, what does everybody want to know? How do you make your money helping me? All right, what are you taking out of my case? Generally speaking, all right, at least in this community, it'll range from 1/3 to 40%. We charge 1/3 before we have to file a lawsuit. Then we jump up to 36%, and we don't get to 40 until we're going to trial. Again, my mentality is we're not the people that got hurt. I don't want at the end of the day, you looking at me and saying, not only did I get hurt by that other person, but I got screwed by the doctors and screwed by my lawyers, because you're never remembering that other person. You're going to remember me. So I think that, again, you should find a lawyer that is client first, that is going to put you ahead of them, that has relationships, hopefully, with the providers they're going to set you up with, so that, again, when they need some help, because maybe the settlement didn't get where you wanted it to go. All right, you got to say to the provider, hey, we all need to take a little bit of a haircut here to make sure that the client is made as whole as possible. We can't get them all the way there, but we got to do the best we can as a unit. There'll be another one that we'll do better on. And so a lot of that is, relationship building in the community and knowing that your lawyer has that relationship. You want to know what their experience level is. Sometimes, and I don't mean this as a slight to folks, but I came out and got a job at a mid-sized defense firm in town. Most of the premier jobs, when you come out of law school, are billing by the hour at white shoe law firms. Now, I didn't get quite there, but I was at a secondary firm in the community. They train you well on how to be a lawyer in many respects. I know a lot of guys that came out and they couldn't do anything, so they hung their shingle. And you don't necessarily know how they got trained or what their aptitude is. So sometimes you might just want to dig in a little bit and say, well, what's your experience level and how did you get there? Because some of the best lawyers aren't on TV. They don't have billboards. And then some of those guys that do, they might be great marketers, but do you know if they're any good at being a lawyer? And do you know if they're going to even touch your case? Because I bet you they won't. Most of them. So, I'm a one-man army here, but when I have cases that get to be what I think too big for one lawyer, or we're going to go to trial, and I think anybody that tries a case alone, of a decent size is a fool. So I'll just bring in some folks that I think fondly of, and they'll partner with me, and we'll tag team the case. And the best thing for the client is you get two lawyers for the price of one. You're not paying anything extra. We just are sharing in your fee because we think that's best for you, as opposed to, again, putting ourselves before you. Those are a couple questions.
Those are really good answers to that. Yeah, man, I'm gonna rewatch this if I ever get injured, and especially here, New Orleans or Texas, right?
There you go.
All right, so that's all the questions that I have right now. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, except to say, I think that this is it's a tough industry, right? Super competitive. I tell my team that you got to remember it's still a service industry. So, we're providing professional service. There's a level of expectation the clients should have. One of the things we pride ourselves on is our communication. And, I get clients that come to me saying, my lawyer hasn't called me. I haven't heard from them. I don't know this. I don't know that. And I'm not in the business of telling people to fire their lawyer. I wouldn't want people to do that to me. So that's not what I do. But I kind of do what you said. And I said, this is what I would want to know. And if those answers aren't satisfactory to you, then you're more than welcome to come back to me. And I'm happy to help you. But these are the things that the lawyer should be telling you. This is where I think your case should be at this point. And yeah, I can't call every single client every day or every week. When you get too many clients, which is a good problem to have, you just would never get any meaningful work done if you fielded every phone call or made every phone call. So some of that has to get delegated. But at the end of the day, you're the lawyer. They didn't hire a paralegal or, a case manager. We call them client advocate. They didn't hire them. So if they want to talk to you, you better make time to talk to them. And it doesn't have to be 3 hours. It's a phone call. It could be a text message. They're not asking you for the moon. But if you can't give them anything, why should they stay with you? And so, we had a client that fired us because one of my subordinates wasn't following up like I'd asked. And I said, you know what, Miss Ann, you should have fired us. I wanted to know why you did, but you should have. I wish we could take you back. She said, no, I'm gonna handle it myself. I said, good luck to you. I hope you do well. Even if you want to float the offer by us, bring it to us. And I'll tell you if I think it's good and you should take it. She should have fired us because the guy that was working for me didn't do what he was supposed to do and didn't do what I had taught him to do. And then, frankly, he's not with us anymore either not because of that, but for a variety of things, because that's not how we operate here. And that's all I want people to know.
Yeah, absolutely. You just nailed it, though. So I do a lot of trend studies. Every single 1-star review trend study, every time that somebody is complained about it doesn't matter if you're a restaurant, a personal injury lawyer, airline, it does not matter. It comes down to communication. If somebody doesn't feel like they're being taken care of and communicated with, that is a surefire 1-star getting fired event. Anything else you can come back from.
All you're doing is setting expectations, right? So, that comment I made about I can't take unscheduled phone calls, it's not meant to be rude. But when you follow it up with, if I did that, how could I actually do the lawyering that you want me to do? So if you call me and I don't answer, I'll text you and I'll say, hey, let's throw something on the calendar when I can talk to you. Maybe I'm driving home to pick up my kids. Well, that's a perfect time for us to catch up, as long as you don't need me staring at your file on the computer. So tell me what you want to talk about. Let me get prepared so we can do that. And then let's talk. Because I'm never going to say, no, I can't talk to you ever. That's never going to happen. It's just a matter of making sure we can fit you in so that the meaningful, hard lawyering work can get done.
Lee, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. You're an absolute all-star in the game. One more time, can you tell the people how to find you, where to find you?
You got it, Adam. All right, the easy stuff. GetRude.com. Soon to be 833 Get Rude. So again, your touch-tone phone, that, what do they call the dial, right? And if you're looking for us, we are on Veterans Boulevard in Metairie, right outside of New Orleans. You can email us at info@getrude.com. And if you're looking for a chuckle, go check out our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We are at Get Rude Law. I like to wear silly costumes and put out some funny videos based upon things that are going on. And I love my merch. So if you want something, shoot me an email, message me on Instagram. I will send you whatever you want. Just happy for you to rep the brand.
Lee, thanks again, man. I'm going to turn the recorder off.
Thanks for having me, Adam. Appreciate it.